Welcome, my dear friends, to the Meta One Design headquarters, and we're here for another episode of Beyond the NFT. As always, my name is Sinful, and it feels so good to be back. I have not been too consistent with Beyond the NFT in the last month, and I am truly sorry from the bottom of my heart that this will not happen again. That 3 year celebration really took a lot out of me. Really took a lot of time. But I'm happy that we made it through the event. It was an amazing event. I want to thank you all for coming out and supporting. We had 13 hours of just performances and trivia, so that was amazing. I want to thank those who took the time out of their weekend to perform for us on the CBD 3 year event. And of course, that event was just really special to us. So I really appreciate all of you that came out. The shoes for the event should be sent. I believe there were about 59 unique wallets that claimed it. If you didn't get yours, just let me know and I'll mint you a pair. No big deal. Let's see. So moving forward, before we get started, I would like to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Bucktown MMA. Jay is out there in Vegas, killing it right now, going through barber school, and just opening up his own shop out there while he's training and yeah, doing everything that he does. So amazing person. Jay is the founder of Bucktown MMA. Bucktown is a mixed martial arts program that focuses on empowering young combat athletes and youth athletes all around the world. They open up programs in countries and within cities that don't get much attention, but should get a little love, and he's definitely out there doing it. Currently, there's gyms out in New Jersey, Chile, and Mexico, and I do believe he's thinking about another gym. We'll have to see what happens in the future. And yeah, if you would like to support Bucktown, make sure to head over to bucktown.org/support. Again, bucktown.org/support. There you can pick up some Bucktown merch or Bucktown NFTs. All proceedings go back to the program. All right, now that we have paid the bills, this is a very exciting evening for me because I've been hounding Crypto Minotaur to introduce me to this individual since Crypto Minotaur told me that this individual existed, and I just went to check him out. He's a very dope person. Our guest tonight is a DJ and producer who specializes in melodic techno and progressive with his own signature style. It is a pleasure to welcome Austin De Chêne to the stage. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Hey, likewise, my brother. Likewise. It took a few weeks for us to get Crypto Minotaur to make the connection. I'm happy that he has, and
For sure.
Yeah, welcome. So I usually like to start this event off by passing the mic over to our guest. Oh, here. Sorry about that. Passing the mic over to our guest, and just allowing you the opportunity to say hello, give yourself that proper introduction. If I didn't do you any justice, so please take it away.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, you did great. My name is Austin De Chêne, and I'm basically putting together some bomber, techno, progressive, big room sets, melodic, kind of techno beginnings, and dabbled in some production, and just trying to get the ball rolling on this passion that I've had for 20 plus years. Honestly, I've been here in the scene, underground parties. Crypto kind of introduced me to this space, and I really vibed with the community, and as far as what's being built. And I think there's a lot of opportunity and just a lot of for creation, basically a lot of opportunity for creation. So I'm excited to see what can happen.
I mean, I definitely agree that there is a lot of opportunity within the crypto Web3 space for creation. I mean, I guess let's take it back to the very beginnings, because you said you've been in the game, you've been DJing, producing for about 20 years now. That takes us back to 2005, correct?
Yeah, and before then, actually.
And before then,
Yeah,
I kind of feel like there is kind of like a period until like before a DJ or a producer feels comfortable enough to call themselves a DJ producer. So I'm guessing like that and before part, maybe like that buffer zone, that buffer time in between.
Yeah, training meets opportunity. You gotta figure it out. For a while there, but I've been I used to pull vinyl back in the early 2000s and go to record shops locally. And at that point, I was primarily based out of New York. So drop a name like Satellite Records, for example, was one down on Bowery Street, which I would go to, almost religiously, weekly, and go through all the vinyls and just pick each one out as I saw fit. And you'd spend hours down there doing that. So yeah, it took a while to kind of build the catalog, build your style, connecting with what was available, with what vibed with you, and things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, so then what came first, the DJing or the producing?
Definitely DJing, and that's primarily where I've sat for a very long time. Done a lot of productions that I hold in my own computers, right? Like that I've been I was telling also bring up crypto again, and it's like I was telling him that. He's like, well, you should release this or release that, and it's like, well, they gotta hit hard, and you gotta have the right production, you gotta have the right mastering, the right, mixing, you gotta have the right samples with the right frequency. You can't have frequency interlap, things like that. That'll kind of throw off the whole sound. Basically erode what you've done, so to get that right and then promo it to actually be released and heard is it's a big challenge. It can be. So I've seen that, and so that's kind of where I've been sitting.
Yeah. So throughout the years, have you gotten like any opportunities like through making music for hire, or like have you like what would it be? I'm almost trying to say publish, but kind of like have like royalties over some music that you've created in the past.
Well, I mean, you can go in and you can actually put your music in the Library of Congress and have it actually copywritten and done that process. But as far as making a revenue stream out of it, it's absolute uphill battle until you get that one track that puts you on, and if you can get that track, then it can put you off into like another sphere, and then you can release follow-up tracks, and so so that brings you to the answer. I haven't had that big hit, you know what I mean, in that way, but having a catalog behind you to say, okay, well, once you figure that out and you put yourself out there, really, then that's you want to be prepared with those follow-ups. You don't want to be running to some like a ghost producer or something like that to put that out there. And I've worked with producers and worked with basically were actually legitimate producers, but also you actually look at the numbers, and it's to get a revenue stream from your own music that is sustainable, that keeps you doing it. It's absolutely not about the money. Okay. It's just about, well, you want to get that booking and you want to go and play that show and you want to have the time and quit your day job to do this. And that's the only way you can do it really well. and so, you know, I've worked with producers that have had releases and dabbled in the thing. Oh, well, you want to release a track when you ghost produce, and it's like, no, it's like I'm trying to be authentic about this. Like, you want to master my album or help me put samples together, then let's do that. But until the day comes that I'm like ready to do it, I'm like, no, let's do it right, or let's not do it at all. In that way, you know.
I love that. You know, that like what you just mentioned, that in a way that could be like you know, coming together for a collaboration. It speaks a lot to like the kind of individual that you are. You are, if you're gonna do it, you're going to do it right, and it's gonna be done the right way or the highway, either way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I have a guest that just climbed up my leg. Her name is Maki. She's my little ferret. She came over to say hello to us and probably bite my toe here in a second once I release her. Go play, Maki. So, like going back a little bit, you were kind of mentioning how like, you know, going back even to like that time when when you're like searching for your own style, you know, you're digging through crates, you are looking for the type of sound that is you. For like for anyone that is aspiring to be a producer or a DJ, or even just like loves music and wants to start somewhere, what would be the best tip you can give that person in terms of like finding their own style?
Yeah, I think just stay with it, and you know, I always let my heart guide me, and and spending the time, like dedicating to putting the time in to go through the hundreds of tracks. I mean, it used to be the record shop where you would go and you'd say, okay, well, there's, you know, an A side and a B side, and maybe they have 2 tracks or 1 track's on the A side and 2 are on a B side, and you're like, oh well, you know, and I only have X amount of, you know, $50 today, right? And I'm gonna pull the best of both of those, A side and B side, and so I get a really core catalog. But it would spend hours down doing that, going through all of those, you know, all of the 12-inch vinyl, just like flipping them back and forth, and it would take hours. Now things changed, and you know, before Beatport, it was dancerecords.com, and that came on the scene, and that was like, oh wow, now we're doing like MP3's wave. But then that opened an incredible opportunity for individuals, which is also why I love why I love electronic music, is because it opened the door for a lot of individuals to express themselves when they didn't have to be going through the big 5 record labels to get heard, you know. And this was on the backs of Napster, you know, giving this free exchange, and like that, they're like throwing back. Sorry, guys.
Way back.
but you know, so it's like, so all of a sudden, like, you know, that's where I first, you know, hearing something that I may have got off of Napster, right, was like, there's Blue Fear, Armin van Buuren, there's Ferry Corsten, you know, like Exhale, like there's these tracks that are just blowing my mind, and I would have never heard them had, you know, BMG not signed them. And so the great thing is it gives this opportunity for individuals to actually be heard. However, as a DJ or someone who's aspiring to get their own, you know, like you said, like their own style, their own vibe, right? It's like, you got to go through so many tracks. Like, go to Beatport and don't have artists or labels that you know well, and try to just go and say, hey, I want all records released from, you know, all EPs or LPs, anything, whatever you got released from, like, you know, January 1st this year to up to date to June now. It's like you would have thousands upon thousands of tracks to have to go through. So you really have to be dedicated to finding that. So I think that sticking with that idea is just like dedicating to knowing that you'll find your way. And then once you find kind of a little bit of your way, and this is kind of this is going back to your original question, but to find your way, once you find like you heard one track, for me, one of the biggest tracks was back, you know, it was a Danny Tenagula he spun it in one of his Be Yourself parties, and it was 2 months off Underworld track, and it's like, you bring light and you bring light, and that's all I knew. There's no Shazam, no nothing in the club, and like I had to go find that vinyl. That was it, and it took that kind of like, the only thing I knew is it said you bring light in. I Googled that. Thank God I had Google, and I found it. And you know, it's that kind of dedication. Once you hear one sound, then that brought me into another thing, you know, to another thing, to then developing the style that I have now, which, you know, if you listen close, a lot of those tracks are throwbacks to, you know, some 90s tracks even, but they're recent remakes. So that's a long answer, but you got to stick with it, you know?
Gotta stick with it. I like it. Yeah, in a way, like you just described as like, you know, digging through crates, looking through Beatport, or not, or what was it, the one that you mentioned, Napster? Just like
Napster,
from way back.
yeah.
That was the grind. That is the way to, like, that is the work that comes to it. Finding that sound, and like, I mean, shout out to those. Like okay, you mentioned you know, thank God you had Google to like look for a song whenever you like just knew like a part of the lyrics. But shout out like to those people in the 90s.
Right. No, for sure, 100%. But they would go and be like, "What's this track, DJ?" You know, they you know, they'd get it. You know.
Yeah. Well, not even that, but like imagine like listening to a sound like not having the access to the DJ, and then just going to your local record shop, and then
Discovering it.
Yeah, either discovering it or like just sitting down with like the poor person that is like working the shop, and you're just like, it's the song. It says, "I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough."
Right. Absolutely. I mean, but that was the journey, and that actually, you know, that made it core.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, if you knew the track, you knew the track. If you didn't even know where the club was to hear that track or where to get that track. It's like, they used to call them dub plates, and that was even before my time. But that was, you know, that was it. Like, you didn't know where it came from, and that made it special. It made it that much more unique.
So I want to bring it back here, to bring it over to the crowd, because I see that a few people have popped in, and I realized that I didn't say hello to everyone when we started the show. So I do want to give a very special shout out to Crypto Minotaur. That is the man right there. Thank you for setting this show up, my friend. And what up, Dr. Drip? Meta Luke over there in the house. Welcome, Meta Luke. Let's see. Rithme Saint, I think I said that right. Thank you very much for joining us. If this is your first time, thank you. We host Beyond the NFT every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So pop in if you're around. Welcome, Brittany, Sultry Dubs. We have Rustan in the building. Rustan, thank you so much for hosting that event earlier today with Stony Eye and Toxic Waifu. Me love you. Old guy, very, very good to see you. I thought I saw Meta Wolf over at Twitch. Dr. Krillo, big shout out to you. Moheti in the house, and we have Scat Lion Rock, Mary Shark, Audio Hot Labs, and of course the man himself that built this incredible venue. We have Mr. J Stickle in the house. Make sure to chat with Mr. J Stickle about what he's been working on. I believe the curved screen is going to be released to the masses. So yeah, ask him about the curved screen. Okay. I'm sorry, Austin. I had to say hello to all.
Gotta spread the love, baby.
Exactly. So I guess a question for you, just to continue, like going down the line of you know, becoming being a DJ, being a producer, like for yourself, what do you see your biggest strength as a producer being?
Yeah. I mean, I need to be completely honest. My biggest strength at this point is DJing. I think my biggest strength producing, to be seen, is my understanding of the energy that music can actually create. And that's in there, but that's not the tagline, but that's really what it is. It's the fact that it's like knowing when that big sound will drop, knowing how long that break can sizzle, like, you know, like those things. Obviously you're on a 4/4, you know, rhythm there, and you're 4 on a floor, but there's dynamics that you can change about that. And so understanding what actually hits, like beyond the noise, is probably my biggest strength. And that tends to become, so my sounds are more nuanced, and this goes back, you know, and that's why it's changed. Kind of, the music has changed and evolves, but it goes in cycles. And they used to be like 8-9 minute tracks were not a big deal, and then it became, you know, 4-minute track was long, and that gave, you know, a longer track gave that time, if you had the patience of the audience to like really absorb it. And so anything that I'm producing is going to be, I'm not gonna say every track's gonna be 9 minutes long, but you're gonna have to wait, and it's a little bit more to digest. Which, you know, thinking about it, it's like, well, now might more be the time than it was ever, because we're looking for that. You know, we're beyond the hype, and this is still resonant, you know. So that's my answer.
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, and it's a very good answer, because I mean, and I feel like that's a strength that maybe not all could like grasp. I don't know. I don't know if it like could be something that could come with time, but I feel like maybe it may take more time for some than others to actually feel the music. But damn, you got me thinking. So I mean, when it comes to software, is there any software that you recommend?
So Ableton is what my core production was. I was on Logic for a while. I have tracks on both. I know producers that from day one use Fruity Loops, and they're massive, you know. So it just, with the, you know, the DAWs, the digital audio workspaces, it's just whatever you feel like makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, Logic was a pretty analog thing, and then I transitioned to Ableton, and Ableton just gave me, I felt like, a better workflow. Definitely. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I have a few friends that use Ableton. I believe maybe even the DJ producer that performed before tonight's show, Stony Eye. I believe he's an Ableton guy as well.
Well, yeah, because you can also put in a lot of MIDI instruments. I was watching a little bit of that, and you know, you can put in a lot of like cues and things. It's kind of a multiverse of platform. You know, you can do original productions, but you can do a lot of sampling, and you can queue up a lot of different things. So yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other like softwares that you use like on the side, or maybe even plugins that not everyone knows about, or like at least like newer people that are trying to get into DJing or producing?
Currently, no. You know, I would go back to, you know, there was a point, I was like, Bad Life came out with this plugin called Sausage Fattener, and like everybody was using, I don't know if you know about that one, but everybody was like using it to just like, it would do, nobody knew what it did, but it just made the sound bigger and like fatter. And that was when everything was starting to hit, and it was just like every track this was like in the probably, I mean, at this point, a few years ago now, for sure, it was when things just were, everything was a main room track. Everything was main stage. Everybody wanted to create a main stage track, you know, like, and that, you know, that kind of changed my relationship with the music, because that's not where I came from. And so it was a challenge. I tried to keep up, but I kind of lost my, you know, we talked about authenticity a little bit before, and I lost my connection, my authentic connection with that. As things got, just everything had to be a big sound, and there was no nuance to it. But as far as actual plugins, probably nothing that is being used right now, to be honest. I mean, there are some things, you know. I would go back to
what was that called again? The sausage fattener?
Sausage fattener, yeah, that I Life. That was their thing. And that was just, it wasn't even like it wasn't a creation. It was like it was just a plugin that you would just, it was a processor, you know. You have multimeters and all these different things that you go through to like get, you know, sound checks after you've produced it, and that was one that you would do in the mixing process, maybe on a sample or a sound that you had, you know, created. And yeah, it was like, it could potentially beef it up, but also it could ruin it, you know, like, so it would just do something sonically where it would widen the sound. I'm sure a high level audio technician could explain and you know, I knew these people, right? They could explain what it did, and you know, because you know, you basically, everything is coming from a sine wave, and then it's just getting beefed up from there, and it's kind of an incredible science. It's very scientific. So yeah,
it's a very scientific sausage.
Yeah, they did something. They did something special.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So okay, so if we wanted to highlight some of your work, what would be the best place to go to right now? Like if I wanted to show some of your work here on the show.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at, you know, my limited catalog right now on SoundCloud. There's a lot of DJ sets up there. There's some productions. Definitely looking to add more as time goes on. But yeah, SoundCloud is it. You know, for sets like this, or you know what, we're doing Metaverse After Hours every Saturday, 10 NYC time, 10 p.m. You know, it's a 2-hour set there that I'm putting up on YouTube also, after the fact, and I'm usually trying to get that up on Tuesday. So you know, that's what, really trying to push that, and you know, trying to build kind of an awareness and kind of catch a new energy, I guess. And then I think productions, you know, will come out slated over time. Again, like I said, SoundCloud has a couple early release, but they're not fully mastered. And as far as I'm concerned, and I talked to, you know, I told Crypto the same thing. I said, you know what, like, they're just not ready. They're not ready to be like, you know, I want something that's ready to be on the main stage out the gate, and I will play some of those tracks, you know, tonight about that kind of that's how big they have to be. And you know, like, because you try to, I've seen it, you know, you know, not to bring it up, but my dad was a musician for years. He was in rock and roll, you know, and he released so many tracks. He's got albums on albums. Nice. Fall on deaf ears. You know what I mean? They just like totally, no one heard them. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, people locally might hear them, but you want, again, you just do it for real. You know, otherwise keep it in your community, and then maybe through your community you can build it. But I think that you know, that's also kind of what resonates about this. You know. The metaverse in general, and Decentraland, and there's different platforms that are coming and being creative, and you know, Web3, and you know, it's allowing for this avenue to design. And obviously this is beyond the NFT, not the NFT, but NFTs are, you know, like that. What is that? Where does that bring us within the creative space of art? And can we redefine an Andy Warhol painting within an NFT, and that resonates with the new generation? And I think that is kind of what it's all about, carrying the torch for creativity.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Web3.
SoundCloud and YouTube. That's it. Keep watching those, and that's good.
Could I play a song from your SoundCloud?
Yeah. You want to play that Valtech if you want. That's probably
Loudtech?
the best one. Valtech VAL.
Valtech. Okay, I see Valtech.
But that's a 9-minute track. I don't know if you have 9 minutes.
I'll
can play a snippet.
We could play a couple minutes of it. Is it one of those like kind of you kind of explained like your methods with the longer tracks, or they usually tend to be a build up and then they transform into other things and continue to build into like something.
Yeah, for sure. This is that. I mean, you have to put on the radar at this point. At this time, it's like Victor Calderon was throwing these underground parties in New York that were just 10 feet underground in a warehouse on the pier, and the set didn't start until 4 o'clock, and it's just so that, I think, for this track, that's where that inspiration comes from. So it's deep.
I love it. All right. Here, let's throw on just a couple minutes of this track for us, just to get the vibe. All right. All right, we're back. We're back. We didn't run it for 9 minutes, but we ran it for 5 minutes, five and a half or so, and that was an amazing track. What could you tell us about it?
Ah, I yeah, I love that track. Um, it's deep, you know. It's like simple, but kind of going back to I think what I was saying before is like you gotta wait for specific elements of the track to unveil themselves, and yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was inspired when I did that track for sure.
Yeah, you gotta let the track evolve, develop in a way, let the sound come in. Bro, awesome, awesome. Thank you for showing us. I don't want to show too much more or highlight too much more because I don't want to take away from the set that you will be performing for us after Beyond the NFT. Gotta say, like, thank you for being open to do this. Like, we love shows right after this event, so I'm sure everyone here is gonna be hyped. We already have a little crowd here, ready for the show to begin. So, with speaking of shows, I think could be a good time to kind of like jump into the events that you have been hosting every Saturday night after the Meta Tribe Plaza, I believe. Is this
Yep,
correct? Uh,
that's right.
like so like I Matt, I was gonna start there, but then really, now that I'm thinking about it, there's like layers to this, correct? Like it's like the introduction of Web3. Actually, okay, I got a good point to start, and it's a very special point to start, probably, at least for me. How did you meet Crypto Minotaur?
Oh, like I kind of knew. I feel like this was gonna come up. So we knew each other back in New York, and so when we were all young and inspired, like we were kind of and not heavy because we had things to do, we had jobs to do, but we would party and we'd go out to one of the clubs that we really connected with and had some incredible experiences at was this club called Arc, and the old name of the club was Vinyl, but dot 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 they lost their liquor license and they had to reopen it, but they were charging $30 a head, but all they served was water and Red Bull. So you figure that out. It was a good place, and they were throwing down party after party on multiple nights. And so there's one quick, can I tell a story, like a small short story about our so one night we went out, and it was like maybe it was a Sunday night, maybe it was a Saturday night. I can't recall exactly, but we went out and there was supposed to be this snowstorm hitting, and we went in to the New York metropolitan area, and we went in and we were like, oh, well, we'll go in here and whatever, it'll be fine. So we got in, probably got there at like maybe 11 because we were like hyped. Maybe we were early. Maybe we got there at 12. I don't remember, but got in, stamped under our wrists, go in, vibe it out. This club is just like, it was called Arc at that time, and they had redesigned it. And so there was like these architectural drawings and different visuals within the club that were just like 3D images that were, locally designed. And so there was like a vibe already, even just in the architecture and space. It was like a loft. And anyway, we stayed in that club for hours on hours on hours and hours. And then we go out and like smoke a cigarette or something, and it's like 10 feet of snow outside.
Holy shit.
Like, it wasn't exactly, but it was a lot. It was like at least 3 or 4 feet. It was a lot of snow that dropped in this storm over like 3 hours. And so we were like, well, we're just gonna stay here. And it was after hours before even after hours, because they shut the door because no taxis, no nothing could get down there. This was on Hubert and Hudson Street, and down basically Tribeca, down in New York City, Manhattan. And yeah, we stayed until we shut that thing down. That's we got our took our breath outside, went back in, party for a little bit more, and then getting home, we're just like, you know, we had to get to the train. There was nobody driving. Like it was just like 3 feet of snow. We didn't have snowshoes. It was, and then we got back to where we were staying, and we get back at 4 a.m. something like that, and maybe later, and he's like, "Hey, you need to spin a set." I spun an hour set after that at the place we were staying. So it was like we didn't have enough. Like it was just like, and so like that's the core story that with crypto, that I remember, and that really defines. And so we went to a lot of different spots like that, but and we always had dreams to do things, and so there's a really authentic connection there from way back.
Oh my God, that is such an awesome story. And I mean, thank you for sharing the story because I mean, there's nothing like those night out with the boys to like really kind of like solidify a memory with a certain individual, kind of like build that bond. To be like trekking through freaking 3 feet of snow, no snowshoes. It was probably wet and everything, and
That's that dedication. You talk about the early inspiration. What they want is like you got to be dedicated.
Exactly.
So we were dedicated.
So, was Crypto Minotaur one of those individuals that kind of showed you into crypto, or did you show him, or like how did you kind of wander into the into noticing that crypto, NFTs, Web3 was kind of a thing that existed?
So I've been around communities that have been interested in developing this technology on all sides. I think what Crypto Minotaur did for me was introduce me to the a few years ago. Hey man, you need to buy a piece of property here, and like do this, and and I'm building this, and so he really showed me the metaverse and the potential, and within that connecting to, I think, what will end up being a more aligned community within the Web3 space and within building these networks. I've done my own independent research on, crypto as an exchange kind of currency, like that specific thing. Seen the pitfalls and possibilities of that. And so I've done that on my own. I'd been introduced into it to that a long time ago, knowing that it existed, but today is a whole different level of awareness, let's say. Yeah. So I think crypto was really key on that, and I think building dreams that we have mutual interests for together, that's definitely the alignment specifically within this space and others like it, so yeah.
So kind of like for me, and we're kind of speaking like back in like 2021 when I first got into all this. Like for me, what really what really set everything off for me was discovering that my crypto was more than my own crypto, like more than just like money that I can send to a friend or whatever. It was discovering that it was technology, like such as like Decentraland, for example, that where the lands are built on the Ethereum blockchain, and people have ownership over these parcels through their wallets and stuff like that. Discovering that was kind of like the thing that like made something in my head click, and then I never left the metaverse since.
Yeah.
A little bit about myself. Before Decentraland, I was a streamer. Like I'd be like just playing video games and stuff like that. Like just a typical person trying to make it in streaming. And to tell you, and everyone tries to stream video games and stuff like that. Very few will make it. And I spent like 3 years, or about 3 years, like just streaming 12 hours a day, and not really seeing any growth, not really, like, really seeing any traction at all. And I was just about ready to quit until I came into Decentraland, and I all of a sudden, like, after hanging out for, I don't know, I was hanging out for a few months by then. Um, just seeing people believed in me, like wanted me to grow. Like, I don't there's something about being in a 3D platform such as Decentraland that kind of lets you bond with people a little more than you would if it were like through a chat box or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the rest is history. I'm still here. About 20. I started streaming Decentraland 2021. By March 2022. March 2022. We were having our first Beyond the NFT. So, so here we are. We're still going strong. 3 years later.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like that, I've had club friends. Crypto wasn't the only person that I ever knew in the club scene, and I have some really core friends in that space that would find that party in the warehouse wherever in Bedford Stuyvesant in Brooklyn or something like that, before it was a thing, and it's really difficult, and they're older and potentially even older than myself, and to convince them, hey, come to Decentraland. This event is happening. I had one he's core, and he was, I'm just gonna be honest, Austin, I'm just not into this digital space. And I said, that's okay, I'm reposting it on YouTube. Just don't worry about it, But I think that for me, and kind of to piggyback off of what you were saying, it's like each one of those avatars that's super custom and super designed represents an individual, and that's a part of their expression. And they may or may not do that outside in real life, or they may do it on both. But it's just another avenue, And so it's like, for me, I'm like, well, those are people, and we live, whether or not anybody wants to really believe it, we live in a like hybrid of this like digital and physical realms. We are always on our phones, we are always on our computers, but yet we have to watch the road when we're driving, And it's like, so we are plugged in that way, and so yeah, I don't. I don't discount or underappreciate the fact that each individual is, a being at showing up, Yep.
And also, I mean, them being individuals, them whole selves. Like, I mean, I've learned through with these people. Like, I truly have. Like, I learned like just bringing it to like just my content. I learned what kind of content I want to make.
Right. It's a really good learning opportunity, and I love to learn.
It's like the streamer version of digging through the crates, finding the right sound. Like,
yeah.
I feel perhaps like I found my home within podcasting, hosting events and stuff like that. Like, so I feel like Metaverse could help everyone in their own journeys, whatever it may be. I'm excited to kind of explore how like all these digital settings, Web3, metaverse spaces could help you evolve your craft. And
yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, if you got some ideas or like anything that I can help with, like, I would definitely love.
Well, Crypto and I, we're always cooking up something new. So, we're every day we're refining and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And, consistency of getting the content up when you say go is it seems, but we've been handling it pretty well, you know, trying to make sure that the stream is up when it's up and the venue's open when it's open, you know, things like that, and sticking to that, and like being like, well, I'm doing everything I can, so are you, and it's something with this thing, you know, it's doing its own thing. So
and understanding.
yeah, understanding, and so yeah, like you know, we've been doing sets for a while now, and that's, you know, we haven't had any big problems, but it's definitely I've understood that with emergent technologies there are, you know, glitches, but you know, even with technologies you think should be good, they're always glitching. So
yep, I mean, earlier we were talking about it, Discord.
Yeah, absolutely.
We couldn't get in a stage chat earlier. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I try. My default is like, look, I'm trying my best on my side to make sure everything from this point, this analog over here, is plugged in and good to go. Like anything digital, and once it gets into there, I don't know, but I'm focused on, I can only do what I could do, and I'm focused on doing it well.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I have right now, like in the stream, I have the camera pointed right at Crypto Minotaur because that is the man.
That's the man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, in all honesty, I don't know if he's heard me say these words just yet, but like, I want to help, like, empower this person. I want to help, like, help Crypto Minotaur in any way, shape, or form that I can to like help him like build himself and his craft, is, you know, and continue doing what he's doing. I think he's definitely got a lot of good ideas. I mean, he definitely has a good group of friends now that I'm seeing, you know, now that I'm meeting Austin. like like he's definitely got some solid people around him, and I've been seeing him cook with my friend Make an NFT lately, and they're doing great. Like Make is one of those individuals that kind of started DJing like through the metaverse, like maybe just a year ago, and kind of like a lot like you, Austin, when we started this interview. Kind of like you were saying, if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to work at something, I'm going to do it right, and I'm gonna and that's kind of like how Make started his like journey. It's like, okay, at first he was like, you know, playing around, seeing what he could do, didn't know much, but he always respected the music that he was playing. He always made sure that, like, you know, either he was paying for it in some way, or giving credit like where credit was due. So but
yeah, full disclosure, I'm no longer pulling from Napster. I don't even think Napster gives it away for free. So I'm either getting it sent to me by friends of mine, or I'm you know, grabbing it up from legitimate sources, because the quality is so much better, you know. And I'm playing specifically, you know, wave format, so uncompressed audio. You know, I'm not playing because the big systems, you'll hear it. You'll hear, you know, it's the frequency cutoff. It's a more full spectrum sound. So, you know, pay the premium, get the quality. And that was another, you know, point that, you know, Crypto and I've been, you know, connecting on, is, you know, quality of production. It's, you know, it goes a long way without being overproduced. So.
Yep. You gotta get the nice quality sample. You don't want like the violin sample with the cat screaming in the background.
Yep.
Or illegal, you know.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So, when's the next Metaverse show?
It's gonna be this Saturday at Crypto's Gallery. So, yeah, excited about another couple hours, and you know, we started a little softer. This last week, I played like kind of still in a melodic techno, but more like housey stuff. Just for the first like hour to kind of relax it, and then kind of got going pretty hard by the end. And you know, every week is it's a little different. Not too much different. I try to cap it kind of similar in a way to to the place where we want to be. And it's also a great opportunity to really get familiar with the new sounds that are out there. A couple weeks ago, I had literally just hit purchase on 6 new tracks. I hadn't even thrown them, and I was just like, I need to play these tracks. I've been listening to them. I haven't actually mixed them, and that was it's the part of the exploration sessions. Like I hadn't even heard them. Like I mean, I heard them, but I didn't know how to mix out or mix in, and I just had to figure it out. And so and that's a testament to like years and years of practice with DJing and knowing when to do the thing, when to actually just be like, okay, this is over, and gotta go to the next track, forget it, move on, move forward.
Yeah.
So, but it's an art. It's a definite art.
It most definitely is. And I happen to think that DJs and producers are just sound wizards. They could do anything, like maybe I'm spoiled because I know great minds like Stony Eye. He could like take my voice, my horrible singing voice, and make it sound beautiful. I bet. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's a little different kind of like production, but just little things like that, or like just take a certain sound and make it sound a different way.
Something you didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Who is like your top producer? Like, who would, like, if you had to pick like one or two?
I don't think I am like that knowledgeable on producers just yet. Like to kind of like pick like mainstream ones off the bat. Like I guess I can like kind of go down to what is within my circle, which would be Stony Eye or Steve Sai. Those two are great producers. I'm trying to think of I thought there was one more that I'm gonna kill me now. I can't remember my third, but I definitely would like to introduce you to Stony or Steve Sai if you're ever interested. I like to kind of get the big dogs in the room and then like kind of walk out of the room and let you guys like create.
Absolutely.
Or share knowledge. That's like.
Well, had you ever listened to any of like Matt Zoe's stuff? Damage Control. He had an album that came out, and then another one, Self-Assemble. Obviously you have to put in like, what do you define as what's a good producer? What's the definition of that? Mm-hmm. I had a guy I met one time traveling, and he was like, he quizzed me on what is success, and he gave me this whole thing. What's the definition of success? Because my definition of success might be different than yours. And we had a whole theoretical, hypothetical conversation around that. In the same way, what is a good producer? What do you define as a good producer? For me, Matt Zoe is like, I think, top. Mm-hmm. Because if you listen close to, and I'm sure there are equally great producers, and I vibe with him. And I do that for two reasons. Number one, because of his sonic ability to separate sounds and choose the right sounds for the right moment. And number two, he's produced anything from house to trance to techno. He's done it all. If you listen to these albums, it's an album. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, whoa, this is, and specifically, those two first albums, Self-Assemble, which is a more recent but still a little older, and then his original, I believe, is Damage Control. That's the name of it for sure. I think that was his first album, but I could be mistaken about that.
I don't know of the order, but I do see Damage Control, Matt Zoe.
So that, man, that like just, and the dynamic difference, and then also taking in the moment of the scene, or the rave culture, the dance music scene, the evolution of that thing. Mm-hmm. That, believe it or not, it's in all the music. it's in all the music. That's what made it underground. It's like we go back to the 90s. They're referencing things that are culturally relevant within the dance music. It's like a self-cyclical or a self, not regurgitating, but it's just, it does its own thing and it tells its own story. And dance music does that. And Matzo does that. It's a lot of tracks, a lot of people, house music, they do that. They tell the narrative of the scene in which they are being created, which makes the scene feel special. Because it is special. So, yeah. So that would be, and that again, that would be dependent on your definition of what is a good producer? What do you define? They did 1 million streams on Spotify the first week. Is that is that like consider great? Is that what you mean? Like, what do you define it as?
Yeah, like it definitely does fall like into different categories. Like, question is like multi-layered in a way, because a lot of people would consider a great producer someone that brings or popularizes a certain sound, and that and then afterwards, like, you have other producers trying, like, taking a sample of that and building on it, or like changing it up a little bit,
referencing the past in a way and refining it. And I mean, like, there's that concept that there are no new ideas, right? Like, they're just regurgitated versions of old ideas, which to some degree, I mean, you go back to the origins of the origins of house music in general, which was, these are coming B-side disco records.
Yeah.
And, so like from, Chicago, like, by the way, America created this. We did this, it went to Europe and got, but yeah. So yeah, anyway, so that's it, man. I mean, it's a great thing. And I think to continue the evolution and exploration of what can be next is definitely where we have an opportunity to go. We always have it, sometimes it feels like it more. And, the social metrics don't always tell the true story, so you just got to keep doing what you do.
I agree, and that's where the consistency comes in. Like, like, I mean, you've been at it for you're 20 years now. Like I this is a feeling that I personally get. So I'm gonna ask if it's like kind of likewise for you. It's like, the more that you do it, do you feel like the closer you're getting? And it's like, not even to like that blow up success or whatever it may be, that the materialistic side of things, not that side of things. I'm referring more to like your personal like growth. Like, it's like, do you feel that you're growing in the way that you want to grow, like personally?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Without blowing up too many people's spots, I have to say, at a certain point in the mid, like the teens of the 2000s, I was so involved in the scene, and I knew people releasing tracks, and this is like heartbreaking because it's the truth. They were charted #1 on the Beatport chart, right? Like for trance or something like that, or house or something, whatever they're given genre. They only had to sell 50. So like, again, that goes back to what is success. So when you see that, I think you're like, well, wait, like, you talk about like making it or like breaking through. It's like, well, what does that mean? I mean, these people still, most of the DJs, including big ones that are literally on my bio, that some of them, not all of them, but they had day jobs for quite a bit. You know what I mean? And it's like, so you're like, well, what does making it even mean? I guess is the thing. And so then, I took some time away, and now I'm here. I kind of scrubbed the past to a degree where I have reference points, but I'm not really bringing anything in the past into this current project. And all I know is that I can stay true to myself in this moment because of everything that I learned and saw back then. And that may bring me success in the future, or that may not bring me success in the future. I don't know, but at least I'm, again, going to be my authentic self within it, and then that will allow for the growth that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not all about necessarily. I mean, and I was talking to a longtime DJ buddy of mine too, who's before, and he was just saying, you know, it's not, what I'm saying is it's not all about that hour set at EDC.
Yeah.
That, according to Deadmau5, may or may not be pre-recorded. You know, it's not all about that. What it's about, but my friend was saying, yeah, well, okay, but you do that, then you get to play at, you know, this London spot for like 6 hours, and you do whatever you want. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it's give and take within the industry, I think, in that way. However, it's like, how often do you have to do that thing that you don't want to do, or you core in your heart don't want to do, to facilitate you to do the thing that you think you want to do, but by the time you get to do the thing you want to do, you're burnt out.
Yeah.
It's like protecting yourself. So I mean, that's deep. That's, you know, that's all. Like my tracks will mostly all be. Not much is superficial, but yeah, that you know, but that way you maintain long-term stability, whether or not it's for your audience or for yourself, because you stay core to what you value and your values.
You stay authentic.
And that, yeah, you know, like that's I think that's what we all really identity. That's what we want, you know, and stay into that. So that's my, you know, that's my goal. That's my goal in life. That's my goal through this music, through this project, through this session, through, you know, every set that I do. And it's not always easy, because, you know, it's like, especially when you're on a schedule, you gotta be authentic on demand at 7 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock or whatever that time is. Like, wait, I wanted to be authentic like 5 minutes ago or 5 minutes later, you know?
I felt authentic an hour ago, but now I don't really.
Yeah. Now I was like, where did that go? But your set's not until like you got 3 more hours. Like, well, I need to go take a nap. I don't know. get that back, and you got to dig deep, you know? So, but that's what it is to be a performer. I know this, so.
Gotta go out back and smoke some authenticity.
Yeah. Get that right. Well, again, though, I was a long-term friend of mine, DJ for a long time, seen everything, and even the DJs that, or the producers or whoever playing those big shows, and they were like doing that. One time that thing didn't work.
Oh,
they didn't have enough sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they were in 6 different countries in 3 days, and like they don't know where they are, but their management is telling them that they got to keep going because they booked a show with, you know, 6,000 people. I mean, that's a whole nother. I mean, there's so much understood, you know, respect that I have for these DJs that are global, traveling with a schedule that's been determined. I mean, Aoki is like what, capped for 300 shows. Like,
I was gonna say Aoki, Diplo. Oh, Diplo is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Aoki, Diplo. Like, how do they do it? And they've been doing it for like 20 plus years, 30 years now. Bringing
that energy.
They never stopped. They must be like taking the best kind of creatine or something. I don't know. Like,
and that's what I think that's what it boils down to. It's not for them. It's like, I mean, maybe some are better than others, and everybody has their own narrative. But it's like, no, man. Like, they're, you know, maybe sleeping 2 hours before they get up. You know, they're horizontal, and then they right after the show they're horizontal again or something like that. You know, it's like I heard these stories. Yeah, a friend of mine told me this weekend. I heard this story. I was like, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's like, you know, and then if you imagine yourself as that person, you want to be that person. You want to party all the time.
But do you really?
It's like, but can you? Can you?
Can you really?
Can you? Like, you know, can you physically do it without getting burnt out and losing your mind? Mm-hmm. I mean, so much respect to that aspect that, you know, obviously that Avicii documentary went into some of that stuff, but like, you know that, you know, and then, so then that comes down to management and the staff around that, and knowing when the best thing is for the, you know, audience and when the best thing is for the artist, and kind of finding that, you know, fine line. It's hard because, again, when you hit, you hit. And you want to be out there. You want to be in Singapore. You want to be in London. You want to be South Africa. You want to be everywhere all at once because your track just hit globally, and you want to be there to catch that wave.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's those record labels, those managers that just treat the talent like cattle, though.
Yeah, they could, and so good management, good people that have your best interest and theirs. It's a street that it's multiple lanes on this street. You know what I mean? Like, and you got to satisfy them all. And yeah, for sure. It's a challenge, and absolute undeniable respect to those who have been doing it for years and years and years and years. Carl Cox, Armin van Buuren. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, Armin and family has been putting down a 2-hour mix every week since like the early 2000s.
Damn. Okay.
Like,
respect.
You know what I mean? We got 1,300 or wherever he's at right now. Carl Cox has been spinning shows, playing shows in London, Amsterdam, you name it, he's played it. Danny, same thing, legend. It's just consistency, dedication, and the ability to show up. So a lot of respect to that.
Yep. Let's see. I'm looking in the Twitch chat. Welcome, Make an NFT, and I also see you in World. Welcome, Make an NFT. We got Make and the Crypto Minotaur in the same building right now. So a big shout out to Neon Pulley. Oh God, I love that name so much. In the Twitch chat, Meg said, I felt authentic for the last 4 hours. three cups of authenticity, please.
Nice.
But I mean, this has been an awesome conversation. I think maybe it could be a good time to start winding down. What do you think?
Yeah, that's perfect. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and engage in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an awesome conversation. I really enjoyed listening to you. Like, kind of, you've kind of taught me a lot about like kind of what the scene was kind of like early 2000s. What the grind was for a DJ. These are kind of like things that not everyone kind of sees, like whenever they look at a DJ. When they look at a DJ, like you named a few, these individuals have been grinding for 20 plus years, and it's like now we know their name, right? Like, and so then that just comes to show you, like, what you mentioned just now, like consistency. Keep it going. Just keep honing your craft, because you never know when that one track will pop off.
100%.
So I since we're winding down, I'm just gonna say, make sure to hit that live button, Austin.
Okay.
And I'm sure that will be working for whenever I transition. And closing question: if anyone would like to contact you, say hello or collab, or maybe ask you for any tips, what would be the best place to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I've pointed my AustinDeChêne.com page to my SoundCloud. You can message me there, and that's probably the most easy. There is an email in there somewhere on one of the pages, but so just AustinDeChêne.com. It'll point you to SoundCloud, and look for the email, AustinDeChêneOfficial@gmail. So.
And I'm over here sharing your link tree and all that good stuff. That's just in case anyone would like to pull up. And yeah, any words that you would like to leave everyone here with before we transition to your performance?
No, I appreciate you guys, and enjoy this short little set I got for you.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and yeah, thank you for being here. It's been an awesome conversation, Austin.
Thank you, Sinful. Appreciate you.
All right, everyone, and now while Austin gets ready for his set here, gets situated in the spaceship. Let's just look around the room, say hello to a few of you that may have popped in while we were in conversation, like Bucktown MMA. I see you, Bucktown. Thank you so much for pulling up, Jay. Big love to Bucktown. You see? Oh wait, let's see what direction. Right, that direction. You see that logo down there? Bucktown is the official sponsor of Beyond the NFT, and Beyond the NFT is proud to have Bucktown as their official sponsor. Let's see who else. We got Gotti in the building. We got MGD in the house. I think I said hi to Dr. Krillo before, but hello, Dr. Krillo. We got SpongeTron in the building. Julius Guy and Prater. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm a little brown, so I can't pronounce all the words, only some. Okay, so without further delay, I'm going to pass the stage over to our friend Austin for a short set. Thank you, everyone, and stand by. All right, I'm seeing your, your screen, like your pre-show screen. All right, now I see you in front of the decks, and audio's going, so yep, it's good. As long as you like, my friend. All right. Yeah, for sure. Yep, for sure. If you'd like, let's bounce out of this call. We're good to go. All right. Talk to you later. We'll follow up. Later.